All right, to our 2024 NHL draft rankings, and coming in at number 64 from the U.S. National Team Development Program, left shot defenseman Will Skahan. And Pilsy, I will say this, nobody is going to outwork Will Skahan.
Yep, Will Skahan is my guy as far as these trios go, Ross. He's a very impressive player, in my opinion. You're looking at 6'4", 210 pounds. Now, he is a left shot defenseman, so don't get too excited. It's a left shot, but still not that that's going to knock him down that much, because this guy has so much to like. Even if you're looking for a right shot guy, I would consider taking him on the left just because of all his upside. Ross, we always talk about guys that are sons of NHL players. You know, they grow up around the rink. They grow up with professional NHL players in their life and things like that. Well, Will Skahan's dad didn't play in the NHL, but he has and currently works for an NHL team. He works for the Ducks. He's a strength and conditioning coach. Honestly, Ross, I almost feel like that's a nice spot to be in, because not only is Will going to be influenced by these players, but he's going to have top-notch fitness regimens from the time he was a kid. And his dad even said, like, Will is a total rink rat. Loves being at the rink, but just as much he loves being in the gym, and he's been focused, disciplined, committed to working out and being at peak condition. And for a guy of his size, 6'4", 210 pounds, you can see that there's some truth to that.
Bob McKenzie's rankings have him at 44, the highest of all, which is more in line with what NHL scouts are thinking versus the other rankings we use, which are more individual preference, where Craig Button has him at 64, Scott Wheeler at 60, Chris Peters at 50, and Elite Prospects at 66. Now, the offensive numbers don't jump off the page last year with the U.S. under-18 team. 60 games, 14 points, but he was plus 34, also contributing 73 penalty minutes. The defensive juggernaut of Will Skahan is out there in the last minute of every game that the team is leading by 1 or 2 goals. First guy out on the penalty kill, was a leader on the team, wore an A, and I think that the value you're going to get for Will Skahan is what the modern day defenseman needs to have, and that is a profile where you can still skate and keep up, but you're not going to be the primary handler on your pair. You're going to be deferring to a more offensive size defenseman. Billsy, hey, you want to get wild? Zane Parekh with an early pick, and then Will Skahan later on. You pair those two together.
Love it.
Yin, yang. That's the type of defense you're getting with Will Skahan. And funny that we have Bob McKenzie here at 44. You know who went 44th in the NHL draft just 4 years ago? Tyler Clevin.
Must have been someone good.
It was Tyler Clevin, who I see a ton of similarities. If anything, Will Skahan is further along at the time with his puck handling and ability to put the puck in the good area for a guy to receive the pass. But to me, like, defensive defenseman who's going like high floor, very high floor. I think he's going to play upwards of 200 games in the NHL and be that, at least bottom pair defenseman that you can count on to kill penalties and get the puck out of dangerous areas.
Yeah, Ross, that's what I've gotten written down for him too. Very high floor, in my opinion. The way I look at Will Skahan is size, strength, and simplicity. Like, when you can do those as a shutdown defenseman, you're going to go far if you can continue that. And Scott Wheeler claims that he's stronger than all of his peers. And scouts, they really look at his heavy shot too. Now, kind of the Lassie Thompson situation, he doesn't use that heavy shot as much as he should or as much as people would like, but he's got it. So that's kind of a trick up his sleeve. And he's got good mobility, and he uses his size to defend well, which I love, Ross. Like, nothing more frustrating than, let's say, a ricochet shot here, but like a Logan Brown type, right? Massive size, but is too skittish to use it or hasn't really learned how to properly use that size. That's not the case at all for Will Skahan. And he uses his size, but he's intelligent about it too, because this is a guy that in the USHL, he could be demolishing kids. But we know, and you mentioned Tyler Clevin, perfect example. You can't be laying out those big, huge hits in the USHL, in college hockey, because refs, they're going to call that right away. They're really concerned about safety of kids, as they should be. But that's one of those things where he's got to know when he can lay the big hit and when he's got to lay off and just remove the player from the puck without totally destroying him. So that's another thing where you just see his hockey IQ. I think once he gets to higher levels, maybe even a little bit in college, but more specifically in the pros, we're going to see him really dominate with a physical presence.
And his dad told him, courtesy of our colleague Russ Cohen with Elite Prospects. He's also the co-host of Locked On Flyers. He did a piece on Will Skahan with EP Rinkside, and I love this. Skahan says he sees a bit of himself in a few NHLers: Alex Pietrangelo, Jacob Slavin, or maybe even Jacob Trouba. The monster hits himself, and that's what his dad told him. You can't be 6'4" and not have an edge. So you mentioned trying to toe the line, not take too many penalties, not put his team shorthanded. And there's nothing worse than when your team's shorthanded and your best penalty killer's in the box. So you want him on the ice at all times, especially when you could be down a man. So what, for me, Will Skahan just needs to focus on at Boston College, where he decommitted from Wisconsin, going to Boston College. I don't know how his dad feels about that. His dad used to work for the BU Terriers. Got a little rivalry there. So it is going to be a great place for him to develop. I know they're likely going to have some guys turning pro. Will Smith still hasn't made the decision, but they're going to have Jacob Fowler in goal. That's going to be a good kind of safety net for a young defenseman. And they're going to have other players there that will help him transition to college hockey. But I think Will Skahan would be a great pick. Even at 39, it would be as high. I think he's going to go early to mid second round is my guess. Teams love this prototype, and I think you're going to see a team jump at the opportunity to get him. Pilsy, is this your 4-star Sens recruit?
I think people have picked up on it by now, Ross, but yes, this is my 4-star Sens recruit of the day. I'm with you. Again, I mentioned maybe a little disappointing that he's left shot. If he's a right shot, you're jumping at this guy, but I don't want to, don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to knock him down too much for that. I wouldn't have an issue picking this guy with the Sens second rounder, because when you have someone that's that committed, that disciplined to working out, and he's got the size and he's already playing well at a young level and he's a shut-down defenseman, I think that's a great option. He's got a high floor. So 4 stars for Will Skahan.
Will Skahan comes in at number 64 on our NHL draft rankings with an average of 56.8. For more Locked On Senators draft profiles, go check us out on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.